Good morning, Bande Matram. Welcome all of you. The topic we are going to discuss right now is on occult history of man. Very interesting topic. Occult history of man. Will try to quote from the mother. So the mother really tries on occultism. So that is the topic we are going to have a glimpse, a brief glimpse at the topic occult history of man. Very interesting topic. So we'll see. Mother speaks at the beginning of creation. At the beginning of creation, we have to date back a long, far behind, to the beginning of the creation. Four individual formations, the past personalities made their appearance. We have to date back, we have to go back, we have to look back, we have to study back to the beginning of the creation. There we see four personalities, four individual formations. The first personalities made their appearance. What they were really? Number one, being of light or consciousness. Four beings, four individual formations. Number one, a being of light or consciousness. Second, a being of truth or reality. Third, a being of love and ananda. Fourth, a being of life. So these are the four greatest individual formations. Initially, we see dating back to the beginning of the creation. Number one, their appearance we can see. Being of light or consciousness. Second, being of truth or reality. Third, being of love or ananda. Finally, fourth, being of life. And the first law of creation was freedom of decision. Very interesting. The first law of creation was freedom of decision. These beings were manifestations in the free movement of the divine. These beings, four beings, their law was their freedom of decision. They are manifestation in the free movement of the divine. They themselves moved free. Their movement was free according to their individualized conscious will. It was the initial step. Soon, however, they stood out no longer on the divine but moved out of him. So we can find second step. First, these beings themselves moved free and according to their individualized consciousness. And the latter we can find they stood out no longer on the divine. They moved out of them, away and separate. They sought to fulfill their individualized will and destiny. This is the thing. First, then they went away. First, they were formed. They moved free, individualized consciousness, conscious will, and later we can find that later on they stood out no longer on the divine. They moved out of them, away and separate, and they sought to fulfill their individualized will and destiny. The past fruits, the inevitable reaction of freedom was precisely separation from the divine. Initially, was the heart. This is what happened. This was the separation from the divine. Each one had encircled within its ego. Ego, we know, it is having the limited, narrow, bounded views with the separatist attitudes. These separation, these separation from the divine, each one encircled within its ego. Initially, they were within the ego, and four type of being were created. And secondly, what they are manifestation in the free movement of the divine. And later we can find their first law of creation was the freedom of decision. Then what happened? They stood free, moved here and moved according to their individual consciousness. And later they went away from the divine and away and separate, sought to fulfill their individualized will and destiny. Then what was the first fruit? That's what mother tries to explain. First fruit, the inevitable reaction of freedom was precisely separated from the divine. This is the very interesting thing, separated from the divine, and each one encircled within the ego. That's what Mother Sri Aurobindo quotes. It is not the God who made man wicked. It is man who made himself wicked by turning away from the God. God has never created any bad elements. Everything was good. Like we have seen a being of light or consciousness, being of reality or truth, being of love or ananda, finally a being of light. So they turned away and encircled within its ego, limited and bound. That is the characteristic of ego, limited and bound to the own fund of potency. Individualism means limitation, and the poor independence lapsed into their opposites. Initially, the poor which were created, then they turned to their own contraries, own opposites. Those opposites, then how it was changed? This light changed into darkness. Second, consciousness to unconsciousness. Third, truth turned to falsehood. Delight into four. Four opposites. So what? Initially they were created as a being of light or consciousness, then being of truth or reality, third being of love or ananda, and finally being of light. And the latter they turned into their nether opposites. Like I can find you, the light changed into darkness. Secondly, consciousness into unconsciousness. Third, truth into falsehood, and finally, delight changed to pain and the suffering. So, and the life changed to death. This is what happened. This is what happened. We have seen. So, and later we can find this change. It actually cost a lot of things. So many problems around. This is how the four undivided people, undivine principles, the four of the undivine came to rule and fashion the material creation. Initially, it was not there. As accordingly, they have been created because of their own contrary characteristics. These goods, they got hold of this opposite negative characteristics, and they have been undivine principles, four undivine principles, and the powers of the undivine came to rule and fashion the material creation. These undivine principles and these powers of the undivine came to rule and fashion the new creation. That is why normally we are seeing so much of ups and downs in this material creation. Into the heart of the darkness and falsehood, and the pain and the death, a seed was seen. That is the problem after later lesson mother tries to explain. Into this heart of darkness and falsehood, and on the another two, that is pain and death, a seed was sown. A seed was sown, a grain that to be epitome and the symbol of the material creation, in and through which the divine will claim back all the elements gone astray. The prodigal ones who will return and recognize and fulfill the divine. That is one very interesting things. Initially, we have known four great things, four great beings that they came to existence. And later on, we have seen they have gained their nether opposites. And not only this undivided principle and the power of the undivine came to rule and fashion the material world. So, in this, it will not stay for longer. So, for that part, actually, a seed is sown, a seed is cast in that inconscience or ignorance. Mother quotes it, in the heart of the darkness and falsehood, pain and death. A seed was sown. Then is a grain. After the seed was sown, a grain was to be epitome and a symbol of the material creation, and in and through which the divine will claim back all elements gone astray. Whatever the goodness has been turned to the nether opposites, actually, these divine will claims for the back to the elements gone astray. to go to the original position what really they have lost. The original has been turned, and actually they have accomplished, they have been with they have turned into the negative things. So now itself this will, the divine will, wants to claim back, they should return to the original goodness. That's what is the region. A prodigal wants who will return to recognize and fulfill the divine. That has been, actually it is it has lost its characteristic. Original has been distorted, purported, or deflected. Now itself there is a divine will that claims back to return towards the original position. So that was earth. And the earth, in her turn, in her labor towards the divine fulfillment, out of the bosom threw up being who could again symbolize and epitome of the earth and the material creation. That is what, further quotes, this is that was earth. And this the earth in her turn, in her labor towards the divine fulfillment. This involution we have seen everything, all the four what were created, it has come to the nether opposites in the process of involution. Here we can find all the nether opposites. Now itself the evolution starts. And earth, actually this earth in her turn, in her labor towards the divine fulfillment, but in of her bosom threw up being who would again symbolize and epitomize the earth and the material creation. This is man who can do, because so many creatures have been created. Who will do it? Who are supposed to do? Who are eligible to do? This is what Earth chooses. This is the man. This can be fulfilled and done only with the help of the man. For man came with the soul within him. How? How? Why? How it can be fulfilled? This is the man is bestowed with the soul. That is the spark of the divine. So in him, actually, that the progressive element is the psychic being. Soul or psychic being is the same. So with the help of the psychic being, man has to fulfill the purpose of the earth. The purpose of retaining the divinity and going back to the divinity. That's divine. That is what the fulfillment, divine fulfillment, can be accomplished only through the man with the help of the psychic being or soul that is inside him. That is the major blessings. That's what with which the purpose can be fulfilled. And see other quotes. That is man. For man came with the soul in him. We have seen that is the psychic being. Already we have discussed with the psychic being. And said that psychic being is known as the divine flame. That is the known as the divine flame, spark of the absolute. So the man is endowed with, bestowed with the psychic being. That is a great thing. With the psychic being, the good forces we have turned to the nether opposites, and with the nether opposite principle and undivine principle, which are actually ruling and shaping and ruling and fashioning the material creation. Now itself the earth, the seed is cast. The seed of Godhead lurks in the human breast, and that has to see in the process of evolution, it has to get changed. So, divine flame, the spark of consciousness, that's like soul. Many different good terms Mother is using. Already we have known, because so far the people who are pursuing this yoga or who are running in this process of integral yogic process, these are the things, these are the proverbs, these are the words naturally, definitely you are aware of. Number one, for man with the soul in him, soul is otherwise known as psychic being. That is otherwise Mother quotes divine flame. Again, you can see the spark of consciousness in the midst of universal unconsciousness. Anywhere you see universal unconsciousness. Inside this universal unconsciousness, only thing is conscious, that is the soul, the divine flame, the spark of consciousness, the psychic being, the soul. So that is the major creating factor who will turn, the changing factor, the transforming factor that can transform. So midst of this universal unconsciousness, a miniature of divine light, truth and love, love life. That is the original. That is a miniature of, very interestingly, miniature of the original divine light, truth and the love and the life. This soul or psychic being, that is the only instant helper and of the transformation and going back to retain the originality. Vande Mataram.